Yeah, I want to thank Admiral Bradley and General Kane for coming to brief about the strikes on September 2nd, which were righteous strikes. These are narco-terrorists who are trafficking drugs that are destined for the United States to kill thousands of Arkansans and millions of Americans. The first strike, the second strike, and the third and the fourth strike on September 2nd were entirely lawful and needful, and they were exactly what we would expect our military commanders to do.
What exactly did you see in terms of the video of the second strike? Were there survivors?
I saw two survivors trying to flip a boat loaded with drugs down for the United States, back over so they could stay in the fight. And potentially, given all the context we heard, of other narco-terrorist boats in the area coming to their aid to recover their cargo and recover those narco-terrorists. And just like you would blow up a boat off of the Somali coast or the Yemeni coast, and you'd come back and strike it again if it still had terrorists and it still had explosives or missiles, Admiral Bradley and Secretary Hegseth did exactly what we would expect them to do.
Congressman Hines said it's one of the most disturbing things he's seen in his career. Did that match
Who
up
did?
with what you, Congressman Hines?
No, I didn't see anything disturbing about it. What's disturbing to me is that millions of Americans have died from drugs being run to America by these cartels. What's gratifying to me is that the president has made the decision, finally, after decades of letting it happen, that we're going to take the battle to them. And we're going to continue to strike these boats until cartels learn their lesson that their drugs are no longer coming to America.
Did a military JAG say that the second and follow-on strikes were all lawful?
Yes, look, this is not like a firefight in some cave in Afghanistan that had 3 people. This was witnessed by literally hundreds of uniformed and civilian personnel at the Pentagon, at Fort Bragg, at other installations. Dozens of them were lawyers. Everybody was watching. Everybody had seen the intelligence and the legal basis leading up to these strikes. Everyone was present during it, and that continues to be the case. There's been no change in the guidance or the order that the Secretary has given to our troopers. And in subsequent strikes, there is an example where survivors actually were shipwrecked and distressed and not trying to continue on their mission. And they were treated, as they should be, as non-combatants. They were picked up by U.S. forces. Just an example of how, of course, our military always obeys the laws of war. Our military also acts within appropriate lawful authority to target these narco-terrorists.
But Congressman Hines also said that according to what he saw in that video, the two who survived trying to get back on the boat, there was no way they could have conducted further operations or anything like that. Do you disagree with?
Jim may disagree with the entire operation. He may be okay with drug boats running to America, or at least thinking that it's an effective tactic to interdict them. I just disagree with that. These are narco-terrorist, foreign designated terrorist organizations who are bringing drugs to our shores that have killed millions of Americans and thousands of Arkansans. If you think these strikes are justified and righteous, as I do, and I want them to continue, then of course the second strike, when you have 2 survivors who are trying to flip their boat back over and continue on their mission, remain in the battle. Unlike a subsequent strike in which there was no such indication, and they were what's called distressed or shipwrecked under the laws of the sea and the law of armed conflict, and our military went out and picked them up.
Is it your expectation that these strikes will continue?
It's my expectation and my deep hope that these strikes will continue.
What about on land? The president has said that strikes could happen on land. Is that something you would support?
If necessary to stop the flow of drugs into the United States and protect our communities and our children, we should take force to these cartels wherever they are authorized.
Should the briefings be more common as strikes continue?
Say again?
Should briefings become far more common as strikes continue?
No, look, it's not Congress's role to sharpshoot every single tactical decision. This was the first strike, so understandably the Secretary and Admiral Bradley wanted to be involved in it, but subsequent strikes, again, we don't expect admirals and the Secretary of Defense to be approving patrols in Iraq or Afghanistan during the war on terror in those places. They shouldn't be involved in every single decision here, nor should Congress be sitting there sharpshooting and Monday morning quarterbacking.
But yesterday, the president told reporters that this is war regarding the actions with Venezuela. So that seems like an escalation that Congress would want to be a part of.
Well, look, they came up here today to brief us because of the lies that were in the Washington Post last Friday to clear the air. I advise them next time to immediately put out what they told us today, because if they had put it out on Friday or Saturday, you wouldn't have the 6 days of controversy. I think you would have had the American people very satisfied that we have such a high degree of professionalism in our military, and the president is taking the battle to these narco-terrorists.
So you believe the whole video should be released in its entirety?
I mean, I'll leave that to the Department of Defense and whether or not there's anything in there they don't want to release. I didn't see anything in there that concerned me. Look, these videos have been made and released for 25 years. Like, you've all seen videos that have been released of drone strikes or helicopter strikes on terrorist groups in Afghanistan or Syria or Iraq or Yemen. There's nothing novel or new here. Just because it happened on water doesn't make any different than happening on land.
So, Senator, there was no change in protocol or policy from September 2nd through the rest of the strikes?
Nope. General Kane made it clear multiple times under questions from me that the orders have not changed from the first strike to today. So the actions that our military took on September 2nd and the actions they took on a subsequent strike in which there were distressed shipwreck that were deemed non-combatant is happening under the same legal standards and operation order.
Was there a kill-all order from Secretary Hegseth?
No, both. Admiral Bradley was very clear that he was given no such order, not to give no quarter or to kill them all. He was given an order that, of course, was written down in great detail, as our military always does.
But was there a vocal order as well?
There was no vocal order either.
After what you heard today, do you think it's appropriate for Senator Wicker to be launching a continuous investigation into the second strike?
Well, I mean, I think what we saw today and what Senator Wicker and Senator Reid on the Armed Services Committee saw today is a very thorough inquiry into exactly what happened. I can't say what's going to happen on the committee in the future, but I think what happened today with General Kane and Admiral Bradley coming up and showing us the videos, kind of talking through everything that led up to September 2nd, is a very thorough review of what's happened.
No more information is needed from the
I don't personally need any more information, no.
If the
Senator, how far
administration
apart
goes,
were those strikes on September 2nd?
I mean, they're several minutes apart. You had obscurance, both the smoke from the first strike and then cloud cover as well. I couldn't tell you exactly how long.
But minutes,
They weren't.
not-
I think minutes. Yeah.
Minutes, not hours.
Senator,
I don't think so.
Senator, you said that the strikes were righteous, that there were 4 of them. Would you have taken the same shot if you were in that position?
If I was Admiral Bradley and I'd been delegated that authority, absolutely. And I'd do it again.
Was there more than 4 shots?
Based on the briefings,
No, there's 4.
based on the briefings you've received, do you agree with the president that we are at war in these engagements?
These drug cartels have been waging war against the American people for decades, and we are finally simply joining it.
We are.
All right, I got to go vote.
should there be an